Today's video is all about Cerebro. This card is very unique. It is a 3-cost 0 power. Sounds familiar with all the Silver Surfer that's been running around, but this card, instead of having an on-reveal effect, has an ongoing effect. Ongoing, your highest power cards get +2 power. So to build around this deck, you have to be very, very strategic in the deck building process. You need to make sure that you're going to get the maximum value out of this card, and to do that, you need to keep all of your units having the same power, or at least most of your units. You can have some that are underneath of that power if you'd like, but you can't have one really high power unit and the rest have lower power, because only that high power unit will get the buff. So you essentially need to have most of your units at 1 power. This deck is all about keeping the power of your units at 2, or Blue Marvel will bump everything to 3. So let's talk about how we're going to utilize this card and how we can actually make it function the best we can using 2 power as the theme here. So that being said, everything in our deck essentially needs to have 2 power. There's 1 or 2 options to keep out of that. So 2 power units, if you look at the top, we got Iceman, just a simple 2 power unit who has a good on reveal effect. Korg, same thing. Nightcrawler, same thing, except doesn't have an on reveal effect, but has the ability to move into certain situations, which is really good. Then we have Invisible Woman. She just has a really weird ongoing effect that lets cards not be revealed till the game ends. Not the most needed card at all for this list, so if you don't have her, don't worry about it. Throw anything else in as that has 2 power. Just make sure whatever you're throwing in can't go above 2 power. And what I mean by that is if you put something in, let's say like Star-Lord, he's 2 power, but on reveal he can get additional power. That can throw off the entire deck. So you need to not have something that will gain power that way. So Invisible Woman could easily be replaced with another 2 power unit that won't go above that, say like Cable or Koye, something like that. Koye could easily do it as well for you. Something along those lines. Although even her, she could mess up the rest of the cards that you draw. So probably not a Koye. But really, other 2 power things that aren't going to grow in power are what you want to look at for that. There's not a lot of 2-drops that I have. You might have some others. Craven, as long as you don't move Nightcrawler there, etc. Onward and upward, we go to Mr. Sinister, who is a 2 power, but he also brings along another 2 power. Then we have Scorpion, who pairs so well with Iceman to get a little bit of hand negation going in. He's a really good 2 power unit. Then we get to Cerebro, so that's the point of the deck. Now, if you have Mystique, it makes the deck a lot more, I would say, overall potent, a lot more powerful at the end. I wouldn't really say the consistency changes, it's just your final value of actual how much power you can output is a lot higher with Mystique. So essentially she's an on-reveal card that copies the last ongoing ability on the card that you played last. So it's that you can't like play Cerebro, play a different card, then play Mystique. You have to play her after. She's a 0 power, so she won't get a buff that's going to get in the way, or she won't get the buff from Cerebro, and she won't get in the way of your other 2 power units, and she can copy Cerebro's buff. She could also just copy Mr. Fantastic's buff if you don't have Cerebro, which is a solid buff to copy in the middle that would give +4 to both outside locations, which is good. I'm using Brood along with Mr. Sinister, 2 power. Comes with 2 more 2 power units, really good. Not everyone has Brood, so again, you could fill in with other 2 power units if you'd like. I then use Storm, who's really good because we can, shut down a location, have a couple units there, and then play our buffs on turn 5 and 6 that will make that be a swing location. So she'll shut down a location, flooding it, and then swing that location. And then Blue Marvel. So on the surface, you're thinking, okay, well, you have a 3 power unit here and everything else is 2. Well, his ongoing is give other cards +1 power. So if you have him on the board, he'll buff everything to a base of 3, which will then get buffed by Cerebro up to 5. Or if you have Mystique, you can buff everything up to 7. So the ideal best case scenario is playing Blue Marvel on 5, and then Cerebro, and then Mystique, both of those on 6. So that will buff your entire board insanely. It can really surprise some huge locations. That's essentially the theory of the deck, what we're trying to do here. If you have other cards, if you don't have some of these cards like Invisible Woman, Mystique, Brood, really that's the only 3 that you shouldn't have if you're through pool 1 and pool 2, then you could try some other things. You could just put something super simple, like, you know, there's so many other 1-drops you could replace a lot of these cards with, too. You could put Quicksilver in, you could put Yondu, you could put Watcher, you could put Mantis, you could put Misty Knight. I try not to add a lot of things. You can't add things that are going to grow in power, and I don't really add a lot of things that are going to draw from the opponent's deck, because some of those cards aren't going to be functional for us. One last tip is you can play Mystique after playing Blue Marvel. That's fine. That will just buff everything to 4 power, including Blue Marvel. So that's fine. You can do that. That won't mess up your combo. So that is the combo. It's all around Cerebro. I'm going to take you through some gameplay now. Hopefully you enjoy that, and we can show off just exactly what we're doing with Cerebro. All right, hang tight. All right, we got Iceman, Nightcrawler, and Blue Marvel. I will always stick with Iceman, Scorpion if I have those as the first 2 cards I want to play. So Iceman's my number 1 favorite, Cord is my number 2 for first turn, just to get some mitigation going on in their hand/deck. Xandark, you got to be careful with. It can actually screw us a little bit. If we put things here, it can boost our power at this location, which will make only those things get the buff from Cerebro. So we got to be a little careful with Xandark. But if we don't have Cerebro, that's fine. We could just use Blue Marvel as our buff for that. Even better. So we could... Running Storm is a really good option for this type of location that's going to give us a power boost. It's going to mess up Cerebro. Storm can just close those off, which is great. He drops Polaris. He moves over Nightcrawler, which is alright. He can still move if I need to. Gonna put Storm here in the middle and try to shut down that location. All he has is Forge right there for now. And he tried to play Juggernaut, thinking I was going to play something on Baxter Building, but I didn't, which is great. Alright, I am going to have to drop Blue Marvel now, and then I have these 2 for next turn. Hopefully draw another card that's playable. I can also move Nightcrawler to the flooded location if I need to. We'll see what he ends up doing. He's got Sarah, so he's going to have a pretty big turn 6. And he's winning that location right now. I'm winning the other 2. Alright, let's see what we got. So we got Brood, which is interesting. So I think I'm going to go Brood. So I'm going to move Nightcrawler back to the middle location, play Brood on the left, and then play Sinister on... I'm sorry, Brood on the right, Sinister on the left. So it's going to fill up every location except the middle. Give me a shot at winning this location, I believe. Let's see, 3, and then there'll be 3. So that'll only be 12 plus 2. So I think I'll tie now if he doesn't play anything else there. But it puts a good bit of pressure on the other 2 locations. So I feel decent about it. But he has Sarah, so he's going to have a big turn here. So we got to see what happens. So we tie that for now. He has a card there, so I'm assuming that tie is going away. He's got Storm coming down, stopping Wakanda, which shouldn't affect anything unless he does play Killmonger, which could be big. He's got a Rock and Nova and Killmonger, so that is big. That's going to kill quite a few things. Let's see if it's enough to put him where he has to go. I don't think so. Now we end up still holding on to the left and middle location. So we end up holding it on, but Killmonger is a really big card to be scared of in this deck. So Wakanda is a pretty great location to try to hide things behind, but Storm into Killmonger I was not expecting. So he almost pulls that out from underneath of me, but we learned a good lesson there. Killmonger can be quite terrifying. Play around it if you can. Alright, we got Korg, Storm, and Mr. Fantastic himself. No cards are going to be revealed this turn. So Korg can go pretty much anywhere on this first turn, that's fine. We drew Invisible Woman, which is good, because at least we'll have a 2-drop. And we got Cerebro next, so that's pretty great. So we'll play Invisible Woman over there as well. He missed the turn 1 and turn 2, which is a little weird. So again, Cerebro is something we want to save until the end. I mean, it's a slight risk in the sense that they could play something like Moon Knight to make us discard it. It's a random shot with Moon Knight, but still, you want to save Cerebro until turn 6 if you can. I mean, turn 5 is fine as well, but normally the later, the better to play him. You want to play the rest of your cards first. I'm saying him. I don't know if this is a sentient being or not. I think it's just a machine that Professor X attaches into, so... I don't know, maybe there's a comic where it becomes sentient. I have no idea. Alright, Fantastic comes down, boosts the other locations. Cosmo is there. Just a little wonky. Alright, so Oscorp Tower just came down. After turn 3, all cards here swap sides, but we're at turn 4 already, so that's good. I don't feel like messing with New York and having him be able to do some movement shenanigans, so I'm just going to shut that location down. Another really good reason for having Storm is just to be able to shut down some awkward locations. He's got Wong coming down, so I'm assuming we're going to get some pretty crazy plays. So I'm going to go Brood in the middle and Nightcrawler on the right. That'll leave me for turn 6 to be able to play Cerebro, and hopefully whatever I draw, the only card that I wouldn't be able to play with that is Blue Marble. Everything else in my deck costs under 3. So he played Wong, and then he just played something to the left. Okay, he played Sarah to the left, so I'm assuming it's going to be like a Silver Surfer, like big Wombo combo thing. He's going to drop a lot of units down, maybe? I'm not sure. So I'm going to end up just playing Mr. Sinister on the left, which is fine. You don't have to do any certain order of operations with Cerebro. It's just an ongoing effect, so you don't have to worry about any order of operations like when you're playing a Wong or Silver Surfer deck. They're all on reveal, so you do need to worry about playing cards in a certain order. For Cerebro, the only really time you have to worry about that is if you're trying to copy something with Mystique. Other than that, you can kind of just throw your cards out there. Now this location is flooded, or if not, I would have moved Nightcrawler over to the left and then played Sinister here, so I could have got both my clones, or the clone as well, and I would have had a full board exactly. But let's see. So he plays Killmonger, who we know can be a real struggle in this deck, can be really powerful. And then he played Ironheart to give a big boost everywhere. So we got to see if we can win. I think we can. We got to see. Maybe not. Cerebro comes down, boosts the middle location by 8. Yep, and that's good enough. And then Mr. Sinister comes down. So Cosmo actually stops Mr. Sinister from making his clone there, or I would have also won that left location, which would have been great. But even with Killmonger killing a lot of our board, who clearly can be a big pain, we can still swing a location by +8 on that last turn. No Mystique, no Blue Marvel this game, but still no problem. So guys, that's the deck. Hopefully you can put together a perfect game where you can hit turn 5 Blue Marvel, Cerebro, and Mystique. But of course, anytime you go to record, you seem to never be able to do that. But guys, enjoy the deck. If you liked the video, leave a subscription. We hit 900 subscribers recently, on our way to 1,000. Really close. Appreciate all the support. Keep on snapping.